All right, you guys, what's up? We're back and we're live. Welcome back to our weekly live feed. As you're logging on, if you'd like to come work with me, Sean's Couture Cuties is where you want to go. We do all the fun stuff when it comes to competing, your hair, your makeup, your suits, your posing. That's what we do. Welcome, you guys. If you are on either YouTube or Facebook, feel free to comment in and say hello. If you're on Instagram, jump on over to Facebook or YouTube. YouTube, I think, is the best platform. You usually get to see all the comments. When we do screen shares, you can see that over there. We will be screen sharing tonight. Not a whole lot, but enough so that you can see the schedule coming out and all that kind of stuff. What's up? What's up? We don't have any shows to preview or to wrap up right now, so that'll be coming in the new year, and it'll be coming like a lot in the new year, which is what we're going to talk about when we get into the schedule and all of that. Yeah, I know it's crazy to say Happy New Year right now because this will be our last live feed of 2023. Crazy, right? It's so crazy. I don't know where the years go. I'm like, how did this happen? I don't understand. I don't understand how this happened right now. But yeah, the pro schedule came out last week. So we're going to go into that a little bit. But before we go into that, I always give it about 3 minutes, just kind of talk about some current events and things like that until we get into the actual topic for the evening. Gives everybody a chance to get logged on, so the notifications pop up. So if you're not subscribed on YouTube, get subscribed on YouTube and turn on the notifications, because then you'll be notified whenever we do go live. You'll also be notified whenever we have updates, things that are uploaded, that kind of thing. We'll be doing another Behind Bikini podcast tomorrow. So make sure that you got that turned on so that, again, when that goes in and uploads, you know exactly when it actually goes live so you can watch it. When we get into the new year, we will start previewing and reviewing shows again. Obviously, we can't do that until the shows start up again, which they start up in February. So I think February, right? I think that's when the first one hits. But between now and then, we'll cover other topics. Yeah, February. February is when it starts. So it's going to come quick. Before we get into all of that, we have Cuties Conquering the Stage coming up. So I am going to do my very best to get on live again next week. One more time before Cuties Conquering the Stage, because Cuties Conquering the Stage is the following weekend. Believe it or not, it's 2 weeks away. 2.5, not really 2.5, but 2 weeks away. It is coming very, very fast. So for those of you that are coming to Cuties Conquering the Stage, I believe the majority of you are in our Facebook group. If you're not, you should be, and you should be checking there every day, because we are making announcements every single day. We're putting out stuff about the itinerary. We're putting out stuff about what to wear. We're putting out stuff about the sponsors, about the speakers. All of the things that you need to know going into it is all in there. So check that out. We are starting to announce the Crown Awards and things too. So one of the ones that you guys, if you're coming to Cuties Conquering the Stage, can be doing right now is the social media star. So 2 years running, 3 years running, I don't even know at this point, Jamaica has won the crown, and she is at it again this year. So one of the cool things about what Jamaica does too, she puts out videos that inform you about what's going on at Cuties Conquering the Stage. So for those of you that have never been, if you want to go to her Instagram, it's Meet Your Jamaica. Go to her Instagram and you'll see the videos that she's put up. They're actually pretty informative as well as hilarious. So go check those out. But if you want to compete with her, get going, because I watch all that stuff. And the Crown Award is given at the actual event. One of the other awards that we announced a couple days ago is the Diamond Diva, which, for those of you that don't know, our theme this year is decked in diamonds. So everybody's going to be dripped out in diamond crystals and all of the fun things like that, sparkles everywhere. So the Diamond Diva is going to be given out, voted on by you guys at the event on Saturday night with our Girls Night Out. There's another Crown Award that is voted on by you guys in attendance. That's our Cutie Love Award, which is basically like our Miss Congeniality, the one that encompasses the weekend the most, with, you know, opening arm, welcoming people with open arms, the community aspect is there to lend a helping hand, everybody loves, all that kind of stuff. And those two particular awards are voted on by those of you that are in attendance. And these awards are all given out on Sunday night at our 5-star plated banquet. So if you're not coming, I don't know why. you're going to miss out. This is like high-end, glitz and glam, like Hollywood all the way. So y'all are going to have a lot of fun. Those of you that have gone, you know we have a lot of fun. But you also get to dress up and do the whole 9 yards, everything too. So it's a lot of fun. So with that, tonight, I want to talk a little bit about what's coming up with the coming year and the pro schedule. Those of you that are here on live with me now, type into the comments and tell me what division you compete in. Whether it's bikini, figure, fitness, whatever, type in your division. I'm curious to see how many different divisions we have on tonight. I could probably guess, but I'd like to see. So go ahead and type in to the comments. Just let me know which division you actually compete in. Doesn't matter if you're pro or NPC or have never competed. Maybe you're competing for the first time coming up, something like that, and you're going for a certain division, whatever. Let me know what division it is you compete in. Seeing a lot of bikinis popping up. A lot of bikinis popping up. Just type it into the comments. Let me know. I'll give it a minute for you guys to do it. And for those of you that are answering, let's say you're bikini, which that's all we've gotten so far is bikini. Do you have the desire to compete in another division? Maybe you want to move up to figure, or maybe you want to move up to wellness or something like that. Let me know if there's a division that you would aspire to compete in. Let me know if there's something else that you would eventually like to compete in. Maybe you're starting in bikini and then you want to build some more muscles so that you can do wellness or figure or whatever, fitness, you know. Let me know if there's something else that you'd like to compete in as well. And if not, that's cool too. Bikini girl all day, yeah. And as I'm waiting for the answers to come and everything, for those of you that don't know my backstory, when I started, I started competing the first year the bikini was even available. So the first year I competed was the first year of bikini. But I started in figure. Okay, so I started in NPC figure. The following year, I moved over to bikini. Whenever I was on the local level, I always did well. Didn't matter what division I was in. But whenever I went up to the national level, I was kind of a tweener. So I was too big for bikini. I was too small for figure on the national level. So I was going back and forth kind of thing. So I ended up going from bikini back to figure and growing into figure again. Did figure for 2 seasons, and then got my pro card in figure. Once I got to the pro stage, I switched over to bikini because, again, it changes as you move up in the ranks as far as what the criteria is. And also something to keep in mind too, that once you get to the pro level, there's no more height classes. So a girl of my size who's 5'9", it's really, really difficult for me to stand up muscle wise to somebody who's half my size, you know, as far as height is concerned. So those are all things you have to take into account when you go up to the pro level. Actually, when I do my talks, my speech, discussion, all that stuff at CCTS, it's going to be about the history of the sport. So for those of you that are not familiar with this, I'm going to be giving a history lesson and talk a little bit about how all of the female divisions began in this sport and how they've evolved and all of that. And it can help you too, as far as determining what division you think you should go into. But the reason why I ask you these questions tonight is because of the pro schedule that came out. Now, the pro schedule comes out every year this time of year. It usually comes out right after NPC Nationals is over with. So it's usually the second, third week in December, that kind of things when we're looking at it. And that's when we see the pro schedule, all the pro shows for 2024 listed on ifbbpro.com. Okay. So every year we see the trends kind of change a little bit. And type in the comments and tell me if you've actually gone and looked at the pro schedule. Now, again, most of you guys that are on here are not pros. And I understand that. But those of you that even if you're NPC, tell me, have you gone and actually looked at the pro schedule? Let me know if you have. And the way you find it, by the way, is you just go to ifbbpro.com, and right there, smack dab in the center of the page, you'll see that you can pull up the pro schedule and you can see all the different pro shows. Now, these aren't completely written in stone. We usually see a few shows get added on throughout the year, that kind of thing. But this is a pretty good idea of what we're going to see going forward. We may see, a handful of shows get added on, but not a lot. NPC shows, the way you find the NPC shows is through the specific promoter. So you got to know who the promoters are in your area. And then they typically have a website where you can go to their actual show, right? Except for the national shows. National shows will all be listed on NPC News Online if you want to find out the national shows. We're talking local shows. So I want to go into a little bit about the trends that we're seeing in the actual pro shows and what that might mean. Now, for those of you that have looked, I see one person has actually looked at the pro schedule. Go ahead and type into the comments if you've noticed anything or if you had any questions about the schedule itself. If you notice anything specific about maybe the number of shows that you see, the types of divisions that you see, all those kinds of things. Or if you haven't even looked at the pro schedule, just tell me some things that you might be curious to know in regard to the pro schedule. I know one of the comments that came in on Behind Bikini is they were asking about, specific pros, like pro shows that are new, pro shows that are like standbys, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go into that a little bit. So seems like there was more international shows than I was expecting. That is a very good observation. We're going to talk about that. Yep, we're definitely going to talk about that. Anything else you guys notice? So, one of the girls that I work with is a fitness Olympian, Andrea. She's on our lives a lot. I don't know if she's on here tonight. But one of the things that she mentioned was the lack of fitness shows. Let me show you guys this real quick. There we go. All right, here's the pro schedule, guys. So go up to the fitness. Pro shows with Masters Bikini. Yeah, that's something we're going to go into as well. So fitness shows, if you take out the Olympia, there's only 10 shows on here. And two of those, these two right here, are after the Olympia. So there's only 8 qualifying shows. There's only 8 qualifying fitness shows going into, and one of those is the Arnold, which is obviously an invitational, right? So that leaves it very, very difficult for fitness girls to actually qualify for the Olympia. Now, why is that, do you think? Why do you think there's only a total of 10 when you don't count the Olympia on this particular schedule for the year? Anybody have any idea? Again, I'll always wait a few minutes for comments to come in, and then I'll kind of give you my 2 cents. Oh yeah, the QR code appears for our Cutie Boutique. I forgot to mention that. So that'll take you there if you want to do anything with me, meaning hair, makeup, suits, posing. We have activewear, makeup, actual can purchase makeup and everything on there too. So all that. Demand or lack of, yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. Anything else you guys notice? A reason why we might have a lack of fitness? So let's talk about the demand or lack of demand. At the end of the day, and this is going to transition to over every single division we're going to talk about in a second, it comes down to dollars and cents, right? So if promoters aren't making money, they're not going to spend the money to have the sanction, right? A lot of times when we're looking at fitness and some of the other divisions too, the reason why the actual division is in the show is because they have a specific sponsor that is paying for the sanction fee, right? So if you don't have anybody that's willing to step up and pay for the sanction fee for fitness, or if you don't have a promoter that is particularly passionate about fitness, then you're likely not going to see a fitness show. Because the bottom line is that they don't bring in a ton of money, and going to the demand or lack of, there's not a lot of fitness girls coming up. Okay. This starts at the local level, right? So you go to the local level, and how many of you ever been to a local show where they have one fitness girl in the entire show? In an NPC show, it's one fitness girl, right? I mean, that's the majority of shows. Either they're 0 or 1. It's rare that I'll see more than one fitness girl actually in a local show. So what that means is the pro level is actually not being fed competitors at all, right? It starts at the local level. If we're not getting a good amount of fitness competitors at the local level, they're not going to be pushing up to the national level, and they're not going to be pushing up to the pro league. When I see them at national shows, and even national shows, there's a lot of national shows that don't even have fitness. And at national shows, you're lucky to have 5 or 6 girls in the whole show for fitness, or like 2 classes. The bigger national shows with fitness will have 2 classes and 6 girls in each class. You know, there's nobody actually coming from the bottom level up to get into the pro level. So once they're on the pro level, you don't have a lot of competitors, right? So you don't have a lot of competitors going up to Olympia. So I have tremendous respect for fitness competitors, but I think the biggest issue with fitness in this particular organization and this particular what am I looking for, sport, is that it's kind of a odd man out. What I mean by that is they're not really, they are being judged on their physiques, but not really, right? They're mostly being judged on their routines, right? And the routines are 2/3 of their score. There's no other division. There's no other division in the world of bodybuilding that gets scored on their routines. Even open bodybuilding doesn't get scored on their routines. So it's just kind of, it's an odd man out, right? So it doesn't really fit. Doesn't really fit with bodybuilding, because then when they get judged on their physiques, what we're looking at with figure girls versus like fitness girls is it's the same look that they're going for, but there's very few women who can have the kind of muscle mass and be as conditioned as they need to be and still be able to do all that tumbling and gymnastic stuff that they have to do in order to be successful in fitness. It's very, very difficult to do all of that. And that's why we saw at the Olympia, our top 2 contenders injure themselves, right? Because being that lean and doing all those aerial tricks and things like that, that stuff doesn't mix. Stuff doesn't go together, right? It doesn't work. You know, one is an aesthetic sport, one is a performance sport. Those things don't mix, right? That's like trying to take somebody in the NFL and say you got to be a quarterback, but you've also got to look like Chris Bumstead at the same time. You know, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You know, they're 2 different types of things. Performance versus aesthetic are 2 different things. So I know that they tried to take they took the actual physique round out to try to qualify people to get into the pro league. But the problem is once you got into the pro league, then you had to be judged on your physique. So it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? So slowly but surely, this division is just going away. Now, it sounds like I'm picking on fitness right now, right? It sounds like I'm picking on them right now. But we're seeing this happen across the board with a lot of divisions, right? If you look at female bodybuilding, there's only 12 shows for female bodybuilding. We talked about there's 10 for fitness. There's 12 for female bodybuilding. 13 if you count the Olympia. Okay. I didn't even count, honestly, I didn't even count women's physique. So let's look at women's physique really quick. They're at the bottom. Gotta go all the way to the bottom here. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's wellness. It's one more up. Women's physique. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So there's only 24 in women's physique. Okay. Quite a bit more than female bodybuilding and fitness, but still only 24, 25 if you count the Olympia. Then if we go to figure, Guess what? Figure is just a little bit more. Figure is 37, not counting the Olympia. Okay. Then we go to wellness. So let's go to wellness, which is down here. Wellness, if you don't count the Olympia, is 41. Okay, there's 41 shows for wellness. Anybody know how many there are for bikini? Take a wild guess. If you've counted, go ahead. Put the number in if you've counted. If you've counted the bikini, and again, we're not counting Olympia. So how many bikini shows are there on the schedule for 2024? This is before and after the Olympia. So go ahead, count how many. Tell me how many if you counted them. And remember, we just said there's 10 for fitness, right? 10 total for fitness. That's our lowest division. Anybody know how many there are for bikini? I'll wait. Y'all sitting there counting right now? Take a wild guess. Well, I'll just tell you. There's 85. There's 85 bikini pro shows next year. 86 if you count the Olympia. 85. Okay? So if that doesn't tell you a little bit about the trends of the sport, I don't know what will. There are 85 bikini pro shows next year. 23 of those include masters. 23 bikini masters pro shows. That's more shows than total in fitness and female bodybuilding combined. That's more shows than women's physique. We just talked about. 23 masters bikini pro shows. Now, somebody mentioned the international aspect. Yeah, yay masters, right? We're going to go into that in a minute. Somebody mentioned the international shows. If you look at wellness, what have we been saying? What have I been saying about wellness all year? We've got 41 wellness pro shows. 22 of those are international. 19 are here in the US, but 22 of them are outside of the US. Now, you want to hear the crazy part about bikini? 43 of the bikini pro shows are international. 42 are in the States. Again, we're not including the Olympia in this because that's what you're qualifying for, right? There are more international shows for bikini and for wellness than there are here in the United States. Let that sink in for a second. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? I'll tell you what it tells you. It tells you that the US ladies better be on their game. Because these international shows, especially when we're talking about wellness, we already know that the wellness ladies dominate when they're from outside the US. They absolutely dominate, right? So if I was a US girl, which I am, wanting to make some noise, wanting to try to qualify for the Olympia in either bikini or in wellness, I would probably be looking at some international shows. Now, you all know I freaking raved about Japan, right? I really, really enjoyed competing in Japan. So, guys, if you're thinking about it, now was a perfect time to do it. The opportunity is there, right? Now, something we've talked about all year, we talked about this for multiple years, is that the US standards are ahead of the game as far as criteria is concerned when we're talking about being closer to the standard when you're competing here in the US, right? Because by and large, we have a lot more competitors here in the US in a concentrated area than they do outside of the US in these other countries, right? Because while we've got, the 42 shows that are international, or I'm sorry, 43 shows that are international for bikini, that's among the entire world versus the US for 42 shows, right? So it's still highly competitive here in the US and more competitive here in the US because we're talking about the rest of the entire world. We're talking about Europe, Asia, everywhere, Brazil, all of them. We're talking about everywhere. So, ladies, take note though. Take note because these international girls are coming, right? And what's going to happen is they're going to start winning in their home countries and they're going to start coming here to the US and they're going to start adapting to the criteria here in the US. Now, on the other flip side of that for wellness, I think this is going to make this even more difficult for the US women to break through on the wellness upper tier, right? Brazilians, all of that, they already dominate wellness. They already do when they come here to the US or they compete in their own home countries, whatever it may be, they already dominate. So it's going to make it even harder for US girls to do something here in the States, right? So I don't necessarily think that that's a good thing for our wellness ladies here in the US, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it just kind of is what it is, right? So what does that also tell us? That also tells us, I think there's going to be an even bigger divide between bikini and wellness. Right now, there already is. There's a significant divide. We see this a lot on the local level where if a girl's just a little bit too big for bikini, automatically everybody's telling her to go to wellness. That divide's just going to get bigger, guys. Wellness is a specific body type. It is a specific criteria. It is a specific genetic makeup. It is not a girl who just has a little bit more quad than a typical bikini girl, right? And I think that divide's going to get even bigger because, again, we're not seeing a lot of shows here in the US in comparison to our international shows for wellness, right? And it's a trickle down. It comes from the pro level down when it comes to criteria, right? We always say, look at the Olympia for your criteria. That's what's going to trickle down. So I believe that the criteria is going to get even more and more divided between bikini and wellness. Okay. So if you ladies are here in the States and you're thinking at all about, okay, maybe I'm a little bit too big for bikini here, you're probably not. You're probably not, right? You're probably going to need to stay in bikini. You may need to adjust your training a little bit if you are a little quad dominant or something like that here in the States so that you can stay in bikini because it is going to become more and more apparent what the genetic divide is. Okay. Now let's talk about the good things. I like the fact, again, that we're seeing more and more of these master shows popping up for bikini specifically, right? And here's the thing that you got to realize too with this. A lot of times girls don't want to do bikini because they feel like they have to be all glutes or this, that, the other thing, right? Bikini is not an all glutes division. Okay. It's a balanced division. And I think if you're on my lives at all, or you come and you watch my shows or my podcast, my previous shows or whatever, you realize that we're always looking for balance in bikini. Okay. It used to be a very glute dominated division. And yes, you have to have amazing glutes. Don't get me wrong, but it's now a more balanced physique division, right? I always talk to people about how it's very similar to what figure was when I won my pro card in figure. Posing's a little different. Conditioning is a little bit different. The fullness and roundness is a little bit different. But in general, the physiques are relatively similar. Bikini now is basically what figure was when I first went pro, right? Just again, the poses are just slightly different. If you put the figure girls from my era into bikini poses, they would fit, right? So the good thing about that is that it's an attainable division. It's an attainable goal. It's an attainable look. for a lot of girls, but it's a very, very challenging look. Okay. It's going to become even more challenging when it starts getting opened up to even bigger and wider audiences, which it is being opened up to these international shows, right? A lot of these girls are genetically put together very, very well. But they probably just haven't had opportunities before to get that shown. Well, now that we're getting these international shows, these girls who haven't had the opportunity in their home countries to show off their physiques are getting opportunities. So that means that this particular division, bikini, is going to get harder and harder and harder to actually do well. Make sense? Right? And that's a good thing. Okay. It opens it up to a lot more people. It opens up to a lot more people that just didn't have the opportunity before. So some people who are haters are going to go look at the actual pro list and say, why are there 85 bikini pro shows? But the fact of the matter is that it's opening it up to the world. So it's no longer just a US dominated kind of division or sport, right? We're going to see girls coming in from these international countries that are going to start making noise. Okay. Because the other thing that you realize too is that these judges in these international countries, things like that, are being trained by our judges here in the States. So the criteria is starting to get better outside of the US. We've always talked about how there's a little bit of a divide. That's getting less and less and less. For example, when I competed in Japan, head judge was Steve Weinberger and Tyler Mannion. The top two judges in our freaking sport were in Japan, right? So not only was the criteria on point in Japan, but guess what they did? They also taught the other judges there in Japan what the criteria was. So this sport is going to get more and more interesting and more difficult. And I think it's really awesome to give these kind of opportunities to girls that before they never really had the opportunity, right? Because they're not in the United States. Well, now they're getting the opportunities. For those of us here in the States, that means we got to up our game, but it also gives us opportunities outside of the US. Like I said before, the best show that I have ever competed in my life was Japan. Hands down, bar none. I mean, the experience, it was just awesome all the way around. I would go back there in a heartbeat. Even though I'm moving now into Masters, I'm still going to compete in open shows too, even though I'm going to be moving into the Masters Pro Bikini circuit. I would still go back to Japan regardless. Even if they only had open, I would still go back to Japan, right? Because it was so well done. So what this means is, ladies, and what I'm imploring upon you right now is to start looking at these schedules and think about competing outside of the US. Make it a whole experience. Go check it out. I want to go to Europe. I want to go compete in Europe, right? Now there's the open opportunities in Europe, but there's the Masters opportunities in Europe too. If you're not a pro, you can still go compete in other countries too. Now you have to check the regulations, things like that, because it's NPC worldwide, all those kinds of things. So you have to check and see what the actual restrictions are and things like that, as far as what they allow and what they don't. Some of these you have to have qualified and stuff like that. So, so do check that kind of thing. You can't just walk in and win a pro card in another country if you are not, if you're not a citizen of the country, that kind of thing. So just like they can't come here and win a pro card here if they're not a citizen here, stuff like that. But in general, check out the circuit. Maybe you'll go outside of the US and go compete somewhere, and you'll have a great experience there too. So for those of you that are NPC girls that are here on this live right now, take a look at the pro circuit, because every one of these pro shows has an amateur component attached to it. So go check it out. See if it's something you could do. Have some fun with this, you guys. There's a lot of strategy involved in trying to win a pro card and all of those kinds of things. But you have to remember that a lot of this is about the experience itself too, right? Think about going out to a different country and maybe experiencing their culture and enjoying the actual experience of the show. I 100% want to do that again this year. Spending a week in Japan was amazing. I would do, like I said, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it again, but I want to do it in another country, right? So when I start looking at the list and stuff like that for myself and what I want to do, I want to figure it out for a different country, right? So the other part of that, like we said with the Masters thing, it's really awesome to see all of these promoters stepping up to put the Masters in place too. I've tried to tell people, like, this is one of these sports that you can literally do forever. And the fact that bikini is one of those attainable looks, again, it's hard. Don't get me wrong, it's hard to do, but it's an attainable look for pretty much anybody out there to be able to get on stage and compete in, means that you could do the sport for as long as you possibly want to, right? Like we have Karen who's on here most of the time, and she's 62 and she's winning pro shows at age 62. You know what I mean? Like, this is something you can literally do forever. It's going to improve your daily life. You're going to be healthier. You're going to be happier. You're going to have a goal to go after every single day. And you can create these amazing experiences too. And not just here in the US. Find something outside the US. Maybe there's a country you've always wanted to go to, and this gives you an excuse to go. Right? I want to go to Europe. I've always wanted to go to Europe, so this gives me an excuse. Right? It's for those of you that are here right now. If you had an opportunity to go to one of these shows, one of these countries to compete in a show, which one would it be? Type in. Tell me which one did you go to. Here, I'll pull up the list again so you can see it in case you don't have it. But it's ipvpro.com. You can pull it up right there. Okay, so here's the pro show list. So as we're looking at this right now, we've got Japan. Obviously, this is the Arnold. We've got China, UK. We've got Brazil, Florida, California, Taiwan, the UK, North Carolina, Utah, Washington, Florida, China, South Korea, Pittsburgh, Hungary, New Jersey, Florida, Louisiana, South Korea, Florida, Nevada, Colorado, Virginia, Canada, Texas, Spain, Tennessee, Italy, China, Indiana, Florida, China, Florida, Portugal, Taiwan, Texas, Georgia, Canada, Netherlands, Chicago, Illinois, Colombia, Nevada, South Korea, Florida, Texas, Nevada, Florida, Tennessee, Florida, a lot of Floridas, South Carolina, Japan, Mexico, we got Hong Kong, we got Florida, we got Italy, Florida, Texas, UK again, Washington, Brazil, Nevada, France, Georgia, Italy, Nevada, Florida. We hear a lot of Floridas and Nevadas, right? Hungary, Vietnam, Florida, California, South Korea, Philippines, Poland, Brazil, Romania, Virginia, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Czech Republic, Finland, Japan, Brazil, Spain, Taiwan. There's a lot of Taiwans. Paraguay. There's a lot of places you could go to. Hungary or Portugal. Yeah, those would be fun. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to Spain and Italy. That's me. That's where I want to go. Let's see. Italy does not have Masters. Damn. Yeah, there's a ton in Florida. There's a ton in Florida. Let's see. I'm looking at the Masters. Most of the Masters stuff is here in the States. But I'm still going to pick one that's outside the US. I don't care. Italy. I know. Italy. I would love to go to Italy. Italy and Spain are my top two. I've heard South Korea is amazing too. I went through South Korea to come home from Japan. Does that count? I was there for a few hours. I'm looking at there's quite a few in Taiwan. There's like 3 in Taiwan, like 3 in China. There's like 3 in Japan. You know, I would love to go to Czech Republic as well. So my heritage, I'm Czech and German, so I would love to do either one of those, but there's no Germany in here anywhere. So I guess I would have to choose Czech Republic. But at top two are Italy and Spain, 100%. I want to go to Italy and Spain, 100%. Plus, they put on great shows too. That's the other thing too. Like I said, when you go outside the U.S., that just the experience of the show is just incredible. So, Yeah, there's like it's funny. You can definitely see where there's clusters of NPC competitors, right? That Florida is definitely one, Nevada is definitely one, Vegas, Texas, those kinds of things. So there's definitely clusters, big clusters. One of the shows that is actually one of our partners for Cuties Conquer the Stage now is the Indiana show. Two of them actually, two Indiana shows. They're giving away free entry fees to two of our ladies at Cuties Conquer the Stage for their two shows that they have. They have Premier Muscle and what's the other one? Oh my gosh, left my brain. What is it? So we've got August 3rd. Where is it? It was on here. Maybe it's not. One of them got a pro show. One of them doesn't. Premier Muscle, I think, is on the August 3rd, and then the other one is June 29th, which is the Indy Pro Bikini, which Indy does have a Masters 40 and above too. So she did mention that, it's just not here on the list. So again, that's why I say like the pro list isn't complete. Like you'll see a few things get added on, that kind of deal. So I do know she has Pro Masters bikini here too. So ladies, start planning. Like I said, even if you're not a pro, go to these shows. Maybe you got a girlfriend that is a pro that wants to do one of these pro shows that's outside the US or something. Go with her and do the NPC portion of it, right? There's so many opportunities to do this stuff this year. 85. There's 85 bikini pro shows in 2024. 85. That's a lot. But it also just shows you, like I said, it shows you the trend of these divisions and things like that. And I'm going to go ahead and put it out there too. I would like to see them put together another division that may be your entry level bikini. I mean, I hate to say that because we've already got so many divisions, but like I said before, bikini is a difficult look. It's an attainable look, but it's a difficult look to get there. Maybe if they had a less athletic bikini, I don't know. We've talked about this before, where it's like bikini was always supposed to be like a beach bikini model look kind of thing. I don't know, but it'd probably end up looking like bikini today again anyway. I don't know, but it's obviously very popular in comparison to the other divisions. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. Never say never, right? So anything else that you guys noticed or wanted to ask questions about or comment on in regard to this schedule coming out? Does it make you make different decisions for things going forward? Does it make you think about things a little bit differently as you're going forward in the sport? I always want to leave it open for any questions you guys have. But it also shows you that bikini girls are probably bringing in some money, huh? Just saying. Like I said at the beginning of this live feed, comes down to dollars and cents. Promoters are not going to spend money on something that's not going to make them money. So we've got 85 pro shows for bikini. I'm just going to sip my tea over here. Any other comments or questions that you got about this? I'm excited for 2024. I think it's going to be an interesting year. I'm excited to go through the Arnold list with you guys. We're going to do that, but we're not going to do it until the coming year because things always change. People, last year we had a lot of girls drop out and stuff. I don't think we're going to see that quite as much this year. We will preview the Arnold lineups, but probably not until February, once we get about a month out, that kind of thing. Because by then we'll probably see everything locked in pretty well. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun year. I'm curious to see how the Arnold goes. I think the Arnold's gonna shake some things up. I think. Any questions you guys have? Anything? This is our final live feed before 2024. Like I said, it's our last one of 2023. So feel free, if you're here now, you want to type in any questions, come back for Behind the Bikini tomorrow. We'll be shooting a podcast tomorrow. So if you have any questions for us, feel free. And I will try to get that edited and out tomorrow as well, because I know we're going to go into the New Year weekends and everybody's going to have fun with their parties and all of that. I hope you guys had a great Christmas and having a happy holiday season right now. I had a great Christmas. I got my period the other day and I feel like ass right now, but hey, I'm still here. I'm alive somehow. Somehow I'm alive. We didn't do much of anything last week as far as lives and stuff because I was with my family. I went to see them with my dad doing his radiation stuff and all that. So we're going to get back to regularly scheduled stuff once we get through Cuties Conquer the Stage, because that's coming up in 2 weeks. 2. So I'm excited about that, but we got a lot of stuff to get done between now and then. Again, if you have any questions for Behind the Bikini tomorrow, let me know. I'll put this up and then you can go ahead and back in and comment again, and I'll make sure I check it before we record tomorrow. And if you want to work with me, we got our Cutie Boutique right here. That's our QR code up here. Or you can go to ShawnCoutureCuties.com. All of our links are in the description box below for YouTube. And we'll be starting stuff on Spotify again in 2024 too. So if you guys prefer Spotify, we'll be getting up on Spotify as well. So going to start diversifying our platforms. With that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. 2024 is going to be fun. 2023 was awesome already. That's it. That's all I got for you tonight. Be watching out. Again, subscribe. Turn on notifications so that you know when we actually do uploads and when we go live and all of that too. Come back, like, and comment. Anytime you do that, that helps with our algorithms. So please do that for us, and then we'll get us seen more often. And we'll see you back here again for Behind the Bikini next. And then next week, I will definitely go live at least once next week. Try to get in prior to the CCTS craziness starting the next week. So we'll see you all back here again live next week. Be watching out for Behind the Bikini.